Stellan.
Kang, I wanted you. Look, come here. I have this super fancy new tool. It's called Bolt.new. It's both designing and coding for you. So I've prompted the new start page for the website I'm thinking of here. Mm-hmm. So it's like, just boom, that's prompt engineering for you. Look.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's like anyone can code now. So I'm kind of guessing developers might soon be out of a job.
Okay, so you want me implement this right now?
More like copy paste it into our website. It's already working. Look, I can click here and I can slide this thing here and it's updating the pricing there. And so, I'll have a fika and you go ahead, take my place. Kang, it's no longer a game of the more you know. It's everyone's game. Future is looking bright. See you.
Kung Fu, a term often associated with Chinese martial arts, traditionally refers to any discipline achieved through dedication and time. Tea making, cooking, calligraphy, even programming. And after 30 years of straining my eyes and fingers, my level is well over 9,000, a master's degree, literally. But a new threat is rising. In the face of AI, my proud skills are but hands and swords against guns and bombs. What was once the aura of a wise old master is now just old age.
Welcome to the Secret Tech Club, a video series where we make tech fun and approachable. I'm Kang, and today I have been joined by our one and only Stellan.
Thank you, Kang.
And this probably means that I, for once, don't have to talk that much because you are much more knowledgeable when it comes to AI, as proven before in our skit. And as you might guess, we are going to talk about AI development today. I don't know about you, Stellan, but from my perspective, this topic is a bit dangerous. Because whatever we might say today might not be true in a few months or weeks or days or seconds, I don't know. And secondly, the future is looking really grim for us developers. So I think I want to record this with you, and hopefully you will reassure that it's okay, or we actually might end up somewhere else where everyone loses their job. So, what do you think about the AI future, Stellan?
I think it's kind of interesting in a way, because if you look at design, for example, at least in our trade, it's always been that everyone has an opinion about design, and everyone in some shape or form think that they are a designer and have an opinion about design. And so now, to a much larger extent than before, you can actually have an opinion about code and development. Because if someone says it can't be done, you could potentially test it. And it's like, well, maybe it can. And so that opens up interesting doors, I think. So that's one aspect of the whole thing. Another aspect is this whole thing of, I read on X that someone said, essentially we're moving up another obfuscation layer. So, no one is coding basic anymore. It's whatever it took Bill Gates 6 weeks or whatever to do that in the 70s. And we've moved like a long way up from the ship level already. And now we're just moving up, one more level terms of what we're coding.
I always said that front-end development is harder than back-end development, not because it is harder, but because nobody has opinions on back-end development. But front-end development, you see it, so you can have an opinion, like you said. But now you can have even more opinions because you can try it out. Look here, it's already done in a few seconds. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like, okay, so more or less work, etc., I think that parallel can be drawn from historical events. Like development has been a scarce commodity in a way. It's like been way too few developers compared to what people has demanded for a very long time. And now all of a sudden we can sort of supercharge developers to maybe meet the demand of development that's out there. That's more how I see it than anything else. So I think we will see much more being done than what we have historically seen, which should ultimately be good for humanity if we take it the full step of what this will lead to. Yeah,
and some have compared AI to how we before didn't have calculators. And now we have calculators, but we still do math.
Yeah.
But I can't help but still think that AI might be a threat, regardless. But if I compare to art throughout history, for example, photography, instead of trying to replicate the reality, they started to do more absurd stuff. And we have always managed...
From Rembrandt to Picasso.
And we have always managed to innovate and find new expressions. At least now I feel like the jobs that we used to have, like that required a lot of, were basically just routines and repetition. They will be eliminated first, and that is a good thing. But I'm also worried because a lot of entry-level positions in programming, they rely on these type of tasks to learn, right? And now we automate it away or let the senior developer do it with the help of AI, so we don't need the junior developers. And that leads us to the next topic, like, is AI good or bad for developers long term? Because it seems like we don't need junior developers anymore, or we're moving towards such a future.
I think essentially if you're interested, this is a blessing, because you can now have your personal teacher that will teach you everything you need to know much faster than you could learn by doing, trial and error before, or have a colleague try to explain things and they explain it like, Einstein level, and you are not at Einstein level. So you have no idea what they're saying, but you nod anyway and go like, okay, that sounds good, because you don't want to make anyone disappointed or whatever. So I'm, with my kids, for example, constantly using this. They're in different subjects. So I had, just last night, my oldest was, preparing for a math test, and it was like doing equations and didn't understand a certain thing. I took a picture of it, sent it to ChatGPT and said, explain this for a 16-year-old. And it did in 10 seconds. And then it was like, okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, now I remember from class or whatever it was. So I think the same, use it as a teacher, and it will sort of supercharge junior developers into becoming senior developers faster.
I think this is a very interesting topic, because I've always tried to crack the code, how to teach junior developers, help them upskill, and I read theories about in larger companies, you need to have junior developers to do the routines, but they cannot directly communicate with the senior because the level is, the gap is too big. So they have to have mid levels, But with the AI, they can explain it in any level. So I think AI for learning is so great. I read an article, a blog post. The blog post is called "New Junior Developers Can't Actually Code." So it's kind of negative. But I'm going to summarize a little bit. So he had been observing that the junior developers today rely heavily on AI tools, Copilot and ChatGPT. And his concern was that many can produce code but don't understand what they're doing. Okay? When I started to learn code, there was books. The rest you had just guess and find out yourself. And then came Google and Stack Overflow. Okay, so the pre-AI era, you had a problem, you searched Stack Overflow. You read the docs, tried out different solutions, trial and error. Finally, you learn something. This whole process creates some kind of deeper understanding and growth.
Yeah.
And now AI just provides fast answers with minimal effort. And there's a temptation to copy and paste without truly learning concepts.
Yeah.
We might develop a generation that doesn't have this habit of problem solving. And then if the AI fails for some reason or starts hallucinating, which they will eventually do at some point, then they lack a lot of knowledge to solve it. Okay, so that was a general idea and how, you know.
But I think the comparison with Stack Overflow is good because you could potentially just take that piece of code and you have no idea how it works, paste it in and it works. It's the same with AI. You take that piece of code from the AI, paste it in, it works, you have no idea. But if you're interested, then you learn something from it and you try to understand how it works, regardless of it's AI or Stack Overflow. So I think that remains the same.
Yeah, it's just that you have to piece together so much in Stack Overflow.
That's the great thing with AI, that you can just ask it to say, explain this piece of code for me.
Yeah, and that is a very good point because I believe that AI is super great for teaching, just like you said, because I view development as a master apprentice kind of profession where when you're new, you should just observe when the masters are working, and then you learn from that, and you need many years of experience, and you can ask the master. Nowadays is a mentorship, you know. You have to find a good mentor to help you move in the right direction, and that is not easy to find. Like, who's can help you? Right? But with AI, every time you ask it to generate something, it will try to generate the code with the latest best practices, so and also explain it. And you can also bounce ideas with it. So it's like having this mentor 24/7.
Yeah.
But the key is what you say. You have to be willing to learn, because it's much easier to just paste the code, just use code, not read what the GPT say, and not being curious. We need people who can fill in that gap and make the judgment.
Yeah, and I can just compare with myself as well. It's like I'm using it a lot to create this, what's called a custom coded workflow action for a certain tool that we're working with called HubSpot. And it's like, I don't know a single line of Node. So Node.js, I don't know anything, honestly. But it took me, with a working script from the beginning, which I could understand because of the comments to the code. That and in the beginning ChatGPT and now later Grok, like it took me, I guess, 2-3 months to find a good way to prompt the AI to get what I wanted in terms of results, to be able to do lots of things that would require a proper developer early on, because it's so good at explaining what it's doing. So if you can prompt it well, it will also return a good answer.
And that leads us to the next topic, that something has happened over the last week. I feel like it's happened over the last week, that a new verb was invented, and that is vibe coding.
Yeah.
And you are a kind of an expert vibe coder.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
So Stellan is vibe coding during the evenings and send all the new tricks that he learned. Yeah. So he's much more advanced than I am when it comes to vibe coding. But what is vibe coding?
So I don't know who invented this term, but like basically it is that you are not a developer with a developer background, but you're able to code pretty advanced things with these new AI tools. So you're kind of vibing your way. So I guess that's where it comes from. People are doing amazing things. They're especially now, like games. People are doing crazy things with games. Yeah. I also see, sort of whole industry popping up around AI tools to create websites, for example. The big issues that people have had so far has been around security. So people hacking the shit out of these things, basically. And some just laugh at it and say, someone put some crazy thing in my game and I'm trying to solve it and so on. And other people go like, okay, this is like genuinely a problem. But I'm pretty convinced that this again goes back to like what kind of prompts are you giving to the system? What are you asking it to do? So are you asking it to do these kind of security checks? Are you asking it to do refactoring and things like that? What I found just from my hobby vibe coding is that most people who do this well, they have a process for this. So it's just like, I would imagine a bit of a development process where you have certain steps that you do and that you approach. Whereas if you just randomly prompt it, it's not going to end well. But if you have a process for it, and that process, people use ChatGPT or Grok to do this kind of development, let's say step-by-step process, and they ask you to create the process, they ask you to create the documentation, they ask you to create the folder structure, necessary checks, etc., and also create the prompts, and then they use that in whatever tool that they are working with, whether it's Cursor or anything else.
But the thing you are talking about now, I think it's quite unfamiliar or even foreign, even for people who don't hang out on X. I don't see this kind of thing on LinkedIn, for example.
No.
And I've been hanging out on Twitter or X now for a long time, and I know that people are much faster adopting technology on X. So many early adopters, and the games that you're talking about, they're often done by indie hackers and solo entrepreneurs, and they are usually so quick to jump on new technology and make try to earn money on them, basically. And for them, like, they don't have to think about the quality and the code maintenance at all. I know one of the best indie hackers, the one who made the game, the flying game. He only codes with jQuery, basically. jQuery and PHP, and he launches so many projects every year. But how about Zuma? Will vibe coding have a place outside of your late evenings?
Well, I think one thing that we have already done a bit of is actually prototyping. You move faster from a wireframe to an actual working prototype, so you can test all the interactions and what you actually want to happen. When you click this button, what is actually going to happen and so on. You can simulate that much faster, actually, I think, with AI tools.
I think for me, the dream would be if designers could get into this workload so they can test out their ideas faster. I don't think we have necessarily cracked it. Okay, so we moved from Photoshop to Figma, and then you do static prototype. You add more functionality to the prototype, then the more functionality you add, the more complicated it becomes. So certain designers will just say, "Stop! This is my line here. I'm not gonna do more than I just want to draw my designs." So the dream would be if they could actually test out their designs without the help of developers. So, or what do you?
I genuinely think so as well. That it's like, what do we want? Well, we don't want like AI generated websites and apps and things like that look like everything looks exactly the same. We want this sort of creative element to it. So far, humans are better at that. Eventually, AI might be really good at this as well with the right input. I'm actually seeing AI more as like another teammate in the room than anything else. So if you just imagine an empty chair and there's an AI in it, and I think that eventually this might lead us to having more of a conversational relationship with AI, and that ultimately helps us develop things that are of higher quality faster.
As you mentioned, there's a process to prompting. It's kind of straightforward. You use natural language, but it's still not as, for example, for a designer, it's not as straightforward as drawing. You have to describe your design. But when it comes to design, you wanted to create it visually. The same with development. So if you get more advanced, now you just describe the process of how to prompt and the structure thing. I don't think anybody can do it. There's a certain line where people say, no, that's not what I do. That's not how I work. We might be looking at a specific person. So will we eventually hire someone who's like a prompt engineer, like 10 times better than the normal person?
Well, It's hard to tell at the moment. There's a lot of talk of that, like a new profession to be able to do that. But yeah, definitely. I think there are some skills going on in relation to that, and that it's constantly evolving. It's like every day there is something new. Just last week, I learned that you could, use JSON to prompt ChatGPT for image generation, for example. So you basically, with code, you tell it, what kind of copy you want in the image, where you want it, where you want to place certain items, the type of person that should be in the image, and so on. And it has better understanding of that than if you just write it plain text.
If you just type description.
Yeah, exactly. It's the markup in a way. Again, it's like for these guys that are vibe coding games, for example, most of them seem to use Grok to create the instructions and the prompts, for example, for cursor. So they don't just use a single tool. They use Grok as a foundation for the idea of the game and the prompts and the process and everything, and then they use that in cursor. So I think that's also like to find your process is also part of what tools are you using and for what, because it's a combination of things at the moment.
And to think about it is kind of sad, because if you describe the whole process of using Grok to bounce ideas and write design documents, you do design and program. It used to be a team of people where you bounce and talk, and now it's just one person.
Yeah, I saw a list somewhere of like the startups of the last year or so, and the size of the teams. They're really small. It's like 10 to 20 people in these teams that are developing these sort of SaaS tools. And I also saw someone in Y Combinator, the incubator in Silicon Valley, famous for a lot of famous companies having gone through that program. They said that like a third of all applicants for the last round did something like 95% of their coding with AI tools. Didn't write more than 5% of the code themselves. So yeah, that's the direction we're headed in. You're kind of turbocharging what you are able to do. And I don't think it's going to lead to like mass unemployment. I'm kind of optimistic about it. I think we're going to see more tools and more new cool stuff than we saw before.
As a manager, what would you think is a good advice to future developers who are afraid? Because I must say, I wouldn't advise someone, let's study development like it's good.
I think if you're interested, as we said before, this is not going to be a problem. This is going to be a door opener to so many exciting new opportunities that we have not seen before. We're sort of on the breakthrough in a lot of areas related to AI, whether it's self-driving cars or whether it's in robotics or in science in general. What we can develop vaccines for and find the cure for cancer.
But you say interested. So if you just want to learn web development or development, just because you want to earn good money and have a flexible work time, is that it?
I think it's a bad idea in general to choose your profession after the like potential salary you might have. I think you need to do something that you're really interested in. Because if you just do it for the money, that's like impossible to say what's going to be worth your while, so to speak. But again, like if we take ATMs, for example, came around and everyone says that everyone working in banks will be unemployed. Well, in fact, that didn't really happen. It's like more people employed in banking than ever before. But you're just doing different things. You're not servicing people coming in asking for cash over the counter. ATM solved that problem a long time ago. But you moved on and do more advanced work. And I think it's similar here. It's also like the industrialization, going back to the 1800s and 1700s in England and so on. It's like people moving from farming into industry, and then eventually from industry into white collar and so on. And it's a always evolving landscape. But if you're interested in what you're doing, you're hopefully really good at it, and then you will be able to adapt.
So that's our optimistic key takeaway. You should do what you think is fun.
Yeah.
What you're interested in, and not go for tech because
because it sounds cool. No, that's a bad idea.
Okay. Thank you for the fantastic discussion, Stellan. We need to do this again. And thank you, viewers, for watching. Until next time, keep learning. Bye-bye.
See you. thinking kind of developers might be out of a job soon.
Boom! That's prompt engineering.
missade den.
Ja, vad sa du?
Page of the website I'm thinking of.
Boom.
That's prompt engineering for you.
Boom!
Okej, boom. Jag trycker på knappen.
Ja, för sen kommer jag...
Okej.
När du kör boom, då kommer jag rulla den här...
So, I guess kind of developers are out of a job. Toppning kanske.
Det var jävligt definitivt alltså. Jag bara... Inte website. It's already working. Look. Och så går du upp direkt och ger den till mig.
Okay.
Och så puttar du ner mig där.
Fix it. See you.
Stellan, du skulle inte gå ut. Du ska inte gå ut.
So, you know, I'll have a fika and you know, go ahead, take my place.
Jag hade inget val.
You know, it's so you got this. You know, it's not a game of who you.
Det gör ingenting. Vi klipper det. Kang. It's no longer a game of the more you know. It's everyone's game.
And Kang, it's no longer a game of the more you know. Just det, jag skulle ta på dig sen.
Ja, och Don, försök ha den här glada energin och bara.
Kang, it's no longer a game of the more you know. It's everyone's game. Future is looking bright. See you.